Are we good? Any questions on these? How to build a cybersecurity plan? It's a plain, simple, like philosophy, right? Now today we're going to go into the actual operations of it. Okay. So let's revise the last session. We said we need to develop a cybersecurity plan. Whatever the company, if that company don't have anything in terms of cybersecurity, department, or a kind of few individuals who are renamed to basically set up these policies and procedures to make sure our organizations is secure. From cybersecurity, physical, logical, and all those kind of threats, vulnerabilities, and all those things, right? So, any questions so far? Anybody? No questions? Okay, no problem. That's good. Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So last time we had understood in detail how do you mean by identifying key assets and threats. So first assets we try to understand, identify assets and threats to a given organization. Let it be my home, frankly speaking. Means as a cybersecurity expert, I need to secure my home also. So how do you do it? You try to identify key assets and threats. So what type of threats do you have? Somebody hacking your Wi-Fi, somebody basically trying to sabotage the security cameras, somebody trying to damage any cables or something like that. So all these things should be enclosed, or all this should be covered and completely secured in a way so that nobody can damage it easily. I don't think anybody will take us out together to damage one of your cable. And again, there's a good median between how secure and how much spending or how much revenue you want to spend on these security measures. So that's also kind of median that we're going to learn how to plan and how to get these cyber security experts help us out. Even me myself, how can I help my organizations or my home to be safe and secure? Then we prioritize the assets, risk, and threats. So we try to go over what type of risk we can have, what type of threats or assets I can see within a given area, and then I'll basically build my plan according to it. First, we can just start with a simple list of key assets and threats. Then I'll go and build a kind of risk register, build a kind of simple Excel sheet where I can see any risk, vulnerability, threats which are erupting from which can be erupted from near future, and I'll try to basically make it more accessible, reviewable, so that everybody can understand these challenges, and they'll also help me out within my company, within my home, within my office. And then we normally try to set an achievable goal. So what we do, we normally nominate somebody to review every hour, every day, so that we can see if somebody is trying to sabotage something, somebody is trying to vandalize something, or so on and so forth. So this way I set these achievable goals. Then I basically build my policies in terms of the roles and responsibility of these teams, roles and responsibility, how we basically react in case of some untoward incidents, in case of some imminent threat, in case of some risk being materialized. And step by step, I have given a good thought over in terms of how I can link my goal to my business objectives. If it's so, it's as simple as that. I just need to secure it. And yeah, I have understood the critical assets, they are safe. And these are the few procedures I'm implementing in a step-by-step way where these are the responsible person within my house, within my company, within a given organizations, to make sure they have these periodic review, so that the threats are observed as early as possible, mitigated as early as possible. Okay, as we see, like if the threats are mitigated earlier in their stages, it's less less costly to us. Pardon me for that. So this way, what I try to do, I try to economically address the best of my knowledge as far as the security concern goes. Then we normally keep periodically testing for vulnerabilities and trying to action it those plan in our list in our register as well. Okay. Now the conclusion is cybersecurity plan specifies the security policy, procedure, and controls required to protect an organization against threats and risks. A cybersecurity plan can also outline the specific step to take to respond to a breach as well. Right? Now let's move on to an important topic called Security Operations Center. Now, if you look at any well matured company, there we have something called a specific department or a group of people called SOC, and these are referred as a SOC most probably. Even in various English movies or other movies, you might have heard this word SOC. And let's understand how this SOC, what this SOC perform, what type of tools and techniques they use day in day out, and how we can be a part of this SOC. So what are the things I need to learn in terms of these SOC, right? SOC is really big gamut depending upon your security needs. We normally scale up these SOCs. Like for a typical manufacturing organizations, might be manufacturing pen, clocks, or some commodities, national consume, local consumers. The security might be bit lesser. Again, this is driven from the owner's perspective. And if the owner feels I need to have a better SOC, he'll have better SOC. And there are major security centers when you look at something like banks, data centers, cloud storage units, American military, NASA, and various such institutes which are really have a kind of a brand around them as in secure companies, including Google. Right? Google is a cloud service provider, email service provider, including Facebook. Facebook is one of the most giant social media, web portal. And like that, we need to understand the SOC needs, SOC's length and breadth for each and every this company. So the assessment is a bit different from everybody. Let's try to understand from the presentation perspective. SOC team work around the clock to anticipate and detect threats before they happen. Now again here the main word is basically detect the threats before they happen. So this is a kind of proactive measures. So you need to keep your eye on, you need to keep your you can say security camera on, you need to keep your vigilance on 24/7. Round the clock, yes, we normally work in 24/7. There are no holidays, nothing. But yes, of course, we get paid well for all those holidays working and everything, right? So as this is a kind of policeman's job, particularly for a given security measures. Okay, SOC or a Security Operations Center is a command center for incident response team of information security professional focused on cyber defense. So what are we consider main our majority task is cyber defense. Of course, we have physical defense as well, but more or less cyber defense because today we work remotely. We work in an era where everything is on cloud, even our crucial data, even non-crucial data, and everything is in our cloud. So for that, we need to make sure that cloud or the internet is secure enough, is basically even the communication is secure enough, even the site which you have visited is secure enough so that whatever transaction we do, nobody can tap into it, nobody can break the communication or the site which I'm trying to access. And we'll learn in a step-by-step way how this can be done and what are the protective measures we can implement. So this is a complete progressive steps rather than a ribbon cutting ceremony. Why? Because there are step-by-step evolution according to the fitment of your needs. Again, I'll repeat. This is a step-by-step evolutions according to the fitment of your need. Your need in the sense the objective needs. It can be a small company like a shop. It can be a big operations like NASA as well. And we need a security one way or the other to make sure nobody robs us free of cost. Or at least we'll have some proactive reactive measures like surveillance, like certain sort of measures to make sure nobody feels we are weak to preserve our preserve ourselves in case of such untoward incident. Three main tenets of SOC defense strategies are protection, detection, and prevention. Protection from the external world, detection in the sense of any new vulnerability, threats, or risk, and prevention in any such occurrence, or even if it's occurred, before it's occurred, we need to prevent it. And that's how we erect this SOC. In the SOC, internet traffic, corporate area networks, desktop, server, endpoint devices, database, application, and other systems are continuously examined for the sign of any security incidents or a security breach. I want to add mobiles or smartphones into this as well, because nowadays there are a large number of SOCs specifically chase the vulnerability of the mobile. Even if you just carry your mobile to your office, it's normally checked out. And many organizations, like I work with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Priceline.com, these guys have a specific third-party tool which is installed on your mobile to keep track of the mobile's security, or kind of keep tracks of if there's any vulnerability in your mobile. And they might ask you to choose different application. They might used to ask you to basically keep your mobile off during meeting times or something like that, just to make sure we are good in terms of as far as security leaks or those kind of preventive measures. Have you understand protection, detection, and prevention here? Any questions so far?
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Let me play you a small video where we'll try to understand what is SOC Center, where which will give you a clear idea in terms of. Oh, come on. It's a hardly 2 minutes video where we'll understand how the SOC is planned and what are the basic measures of SOC. Could you see a black screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me play this video for you.
A Security Operations Center, or SOC for short, is a command center facility with a team of information security professionals in charge of defending an organization against cyber attacks. The three main responsibilities of SOC's defense strategy are protection, prevention, and detection. Protection includes threat hunting, system monitoring, backups, and recovery. Monitoring an organization's devices for signs of security incidents is a primary responsibility in order to protect databases, desktops, and servers. Most organizations with a SOC keep the facility running 24/7 with employees that work in shifts, so the systems are never left unprotected. If an incident is detected, the Security Operations Center takes the necessary measures to remove the risk, mitigate the damage, and protect the system from similar incidents in the future. Additional SOC detection responsibilities may include asset discovery and management, continuous system behavioral monitoring, activity log maintenance, and compliance auditing. The SOC also works to strengthen incident prevention tactics before vulnerabilities are detected. This is done through ongoing threat intelligence efforts, research, system development, and update maintenance, along with conducting staff security.
This is all total B2 in terms of protection, detection, and prevention. So this is kind of a job description for a security expert or a SOC entity or a cybersecurity expert, right? And within these, we have quite a good amount of roles to be performed. Few of them can be an analyst or an observer. Other can be an auditor. Auditor makes sure whatever analyst or the SOC teams are there are following all the policies and guidelines as per the book, as per our quality policies, and that's what we do. And then otherwise, we can grow in terms of number of years of experience. We do learn tools in our way. We do understand how these protection, detection, and prevention actually implemented for your organizations. One way or the other, there could be a bit of difference in basically implementing these three. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure we are, well protected, well preserved in case of, we have ample amount of tools to keep detecting threats on a regular basis. Then we have detection in terms of if there's a new, device, new smartphone entered into your network, what are the steps we're going to make sure it is secure enough for us to allow it into a network. and so on and so forth. So these are the basically the basics of SOC.
Training. A SOC is part of an organization's incident response strategy and can be tailored to fit the company. One way to tailor the SOC to business goals is to select team members with different technical backgrounds. For example, each SOC typically has a manager that oversees all team members, but the team itself can include a variety of incident responders, forensic investigators, compliance auditors, security analysts, engineers, or threat hunters. Another way to tailor a SOC is to choose a specific organizational structure that best investigators, compliance auditors, security analysts, engineers, or threat.
So these are the job roles you can clearly understand, right? For a given typical SOC, we'll have these 6 type of individuals who are attached with SOC, either part-time or full-time, depending upon your organization's needs and organization's understanding of security implementation at their given office. And this is what we need to choose from in terms of where I want to go first. The entry levels are basically the compliance auditors and the incident responders or security analysts. These 3 normally the basic starts. Forensics after a year plus, wherever you understand how the incidents has to be analyzed, what type of auditory facts I need to be collected, and we'll talk about that in details whenever we go about these forensic investigators. Then there are engineers. They just mentioned engineers here to make sure in case there are some incidences of breakage or something, this engineering team will make sure it gets repaired or replaced as early as possible. And threat hunters are basically a kind of specific many say ethical hackers. We pay them in a consultancy basis or on an external basis so that they'll try to make and break our system to find out any vulnerability within our system. Okay, so these are kind of external entities who try to hit your system, try to break the security, try to enter or something like that. We'll learn about these ethical hackers, unethical hackers, black hat, gray hat, and all types of hats, believe me. And that's also we're going to learn step by step. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, I'm
No,
good.
sir.
Another way to tailor a SOC is to choose a specific organizational structure that best fits a company's needs. 6 common organizational models include dedicated, cloud, distributed, command, fusion, and multifunction SOCs. When determining which model to use, companies factor in size, budget, need for on-premises or remote resources, and the combination of other capabilities like networking. SOCs are ideal for organizations with highly sensitive information that may result in expensive damages or costs if the data is breached. A security operations center can provide any organization with benefits such as uninterrupted monitoring for suspicious activity, improved incident detection and response times, higher customer satisfaction with security, and more transparent control over security operations.
What I normally do, I normally share these links of YouTube videos. So if you want, you can subscribe to them. You can have a look at their other videos also. These are the trainers which I believe explain in a much better sense than me and with the shortest possible time. That's why I normally play these videos. And also this video gives you a good idea of how SOC works, what are the infrastructure SOC normally have, and that step-by-step way, right? So that's why I normally play this video. Anybody have any objections playing the YouTube videos? This also give my throat a bit of rest.
Not at all.
Right? Please do let me know if I'm going fast, if I'm going, kind of deviation from the current thought process also. Because this is the way we are going to learn together. Even I'm going to learn from you. If you used any tools, if you want to use any specific tools, and we'll basically spend some time on that tool as well. And again, as I told you, this is a never-ending story about learning or building your cybersecurity knowledge base, because there are n number of tools which are coming every week. And that's why many companies choose the latest tools, because they have the latest vigilance, latest threat monitoring, threat detection, and all those things. So this is like antivirus, right? I couldn't update it enough, but still you have to stop somewhere, and then you basically get matured with that antivirus software. Like on a personal level, I'm telling you, I don't like McAfee, But I normally go with Dell server, Dell laptops. They have a tie with McAfee, so I have to be with McAfee. I'll not say it's a kind of uh, in a bad way, but that's how it happened, and that's how it happened. Uh, Having liking a McAfee, like we used to work with something like well, I'm a system programmer. I started my career as an assembly programmer. Then we moved into the actual DOS and Windows programming in those good old days. So I know from kernel level, I know from instruction queue level, I know from the push and pull of the assemblies and those commands. So I can go to that level to understand any threat and intelligence. Do we all need to? No, we don't need to. But if you know, it's better, no problem. But we need to find a median of to what level I want to learn and which is the role really fits my personality. Again, why I say personality? Because everyone can't be a critic, everyone can't be a keen observer. And as an SOC threat detectors or analysis, they need to be keen observers in the sense they always keep checking. Like if you've seen the police shown in the English movies, right? They always keep looking on their shoulder, behind, here, there, to make sure there's no threat to them, and so on and so forth. And these kind of trainings you normally get whenever you join FBI or CSI and so on and so forth. But right now, I don't want you to join those teams, but to understand how the SOC performs and find a median which fits your personality. You can be a great auditor because if you know checklist and if you know if the checklists have been completed or not, that can be a good start. It's a kind of auditing thing, right? Auditing to make sure how are any vulnerabilities within my office. Now, let me give you a homework, a simple homework today. Try to assess security at your home. Can we do it? Can we do it? Means three of us. Could we do it? Okay.
Yes, like what was the thing like, trying to build a security at home?
Let me tell. Let me repeat my these things. Let's plan a cyber security plan for my home. Let's try it out. Means just build a list in terms of your priority of assets, and you might not have to show it to me. You just read whatever you've created, and then we'll understand if it's good or not, what can be excluded and included. Then you basically try to understand the threat, the preventive, mechanisms or the risk associated with that, basic entity, and that's where we can go from here. And then you try to be like a head of SOC operation. Try to check out what you can do your best. Why I'm trying to do this homework to make sure we have to understand our personality. Either you can be a forensic expert, you can be a good cybersecurity analyst, or a good cybersecurity auditor. These three are different traits to start with. Well, forensic analysis might come later, forensic investigator might come later, but let's define between analyst and auditors. Okay, and we'll understand in a few slides how the analyst and auditors performs differently. But overall, when you look at yourself, what do you think? Are you more of analyst or are you more of an auditor? And that's what I want to understand from this homework or from these assessments. What you can do with your home. Home is simple thing, right? You can visualize around. You can even know what are the critical things to be taken care of. Please don't include the home safe. Please don't include where you keep your cash and all, like below your pillow or below your mattress or whatnot. I don't want to know that. Try to understand from a IT perspective. So try something like you have one desktop, one laptop. If you have any security cameras, do you have? How do you monitor them? What's the last time have you checked? And those scenarios. Or if you have something like ADT securities, how they do it. You might have understood from them as well how they secure your house, how that reactive measure works when somebody try to break in your door, window, how those motion sensors can react to alarms, can react to the if you I don't know if you have, but there are automated police detection, police alert system as well. Do you have something like that? Try to understand. In this will also give you an edge of how do we stand in terms of the level of security geeks Why I say security geeks? Because there is no stopping. You might have everything, but still the people might try to break or people might try to what you can say try challenge your security measures. This can be also a scenario, but I don't think there's a scenario right now as such. I'm just sharing these examples with you. So please do try, give it not more than half an hour or so, think it through, build an Excel sheet, or you can just write down with pen and paper, whatever is easier for you. Does that make sense, madam?
Yes.
Okay. And this will give you an idea about how you visualize things, and that will basically share a good amount of insight of your personality in terms of what will be the best suitable career for me. Okay, again, I'm not deciding or judging anybody. What we are trying to do, we are trying to get aligned with our traits, with our personalities, so that whatever we can do is the most efficient for us. Okay, and again, this is not like something easier than other, but if it's fits to your personality, you can do it without any major stress, and that's the fun of life. So if you reduce the stress in your life, you can enjoy life in a much better scenario. Okay, so let me move to the next one. Let's try to understand SOC in terms of we've said like protection, detection, and vigilance. So here we have analyzing, organizing, and monitoring. These words, they play around a bit. So choose the words which you remember the most. Okay, SOC most commonly found in the industry, healthcare, education, finance. Well, nowadays every industry, even a smartphone manufacturer couldn't go away with SOC business department or a center, because smartphone needs all those vendor distributions. He needs all those anti-dust, virus-free environment to build his smartphone, and so on and so forth. So for that matter, the SOC is one of the easiest department to create, and give the responsibilities to these guys, so that they will handle all such scenario for him or her. In case of smartphone manufacturing, if when you start something like ink pen manufacturing or fountain pen manufacturing, you don't need a SOC as big as the smartphone team, but still you need at least one or two guys to basically maintain the physical surveillance, the overall what you can say vigilance in terms of those security camera, to make sure nobody is stealing from you, or nobody is digging any tunnel through the ground to enter into your premises to steal those manufactured pens or something like that. So anyway, my business is very critical to me, right? Even if I try to make something as easy as ball pen. Well, I'll not say ball pen is really trivial, but one of the trivial entity nowadays, because we get all the use and throw type of ball pens. In our good old days, we used to really treasure our ball pens. Means this was in 1980s and 90s. I did my 10th in 1987, so I'm that old. So that time we used to have one or two pens at the most, and we used to purchase refills, we should purchase those ink bottles and everything. But nowadays, yes, everything is use and throw. Even I'm using an use and throw pen and paper right now. So that way things do change, the priority do change. So even the implementation of SOC do change according to the time and time. But again, nowadays almost every organizations have a SOC, at least two or three member team, three member in the sense round the clock surveillance monitoring guy. That can be an SOC, or a start of SOC, where we have a server room which is visible to them kind of scenario. They sit in a multi-monitor kind of we're going to have a video for that as well, to check out how this SOC actually works. So I have those video for you, but just to make sure we are all covered in terms of any physical threat, and we have that vigilance 24/7 going on for a given organization, for a given plan, for a given office. And that's how we normally plan these SOCs. So nowadays everybody needs SOC. Business that rely on large amount of highly sensitive data, of course, definitely we will need that, right? Have plenty of financial resources, should consider developing an SOC. So what we are doing, we are trying to make sure whatever we have, whatever we believe is critical to us, critical to our business, critical to our needs, critical for our progress, we try to preserve them. And how do we preserve them? we build a SOC team to continuously analyze, organize, and monitor them 24/7. Okay. Chalo. Any questions on this slide as of now?
No.
Yeah, good, right? Again, we are trying to understand how we start building the SOC team. Now, what does SOC do on the ground, right? So what we do, we normally have a good way of log collection. Let me start from the top. So what are these logs? These logs are generated by various servers, even cameras nowadays, due to the facial recognition, the motion detection, and all those things. They also generate these log and triggers where they can, make sure or program to send an SMS or call somebody in case of such a difference of environments happened across your office or across your physical establishment. Now, how does this log help us out? Even all these threat detector, vulnerability testing software, they also create these logs. These logs are basically one of the first entry point of any unexpected incidents happening. Why I'm saying unexpected? Because let me tell you an example. I used to work for Enterprise in Entercar. We used to have 3 buildings in corporate park in St. Louis. And a couple of times I've seen this thing, means I've visited the SOC there because we have a direct tie-up as far as, insurance service provider and connection with these surveillance systems as far as Enterprise Rent-A-Car goes. So there I have seen quite a number of times a dog or a cat banging against a car, which triggering an alarm, that alarm pop, 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 or, something like that, which triggers the overall panic across the surveillance cameras and the security cars. It is as trivial as a pet or is as trivial as a stray dog or a cat banging on a car. This doesn't, damage the car or in any way, but well, it might hurt the dog or a cat if you think it that loud, but still, there's nothing, untoward happened, but this is a kind of exceptional scenario. So every time dog or cat or any pet basically do these things, there are, that NFC alarm they call, right? They goes off because of the proximity of an external person across your car. And that's one of the most, kind of not so important things happen. And there are a good amount of incidents like somebody walking in an office in the wee hours of 2 a.m. or something like that, which is also got detected and the escalation mechanism kicked in. So quite a few, guys who woke up from their deep sleep and came to office just to check who the employee entered at such wrong time. Well, if you ask me, I used to start my office at around 4:30 to 5 a.m. when I was in St. Louis, and till my time I worked in North America, we had this flexi time. So I used to start my office early and then leave office early and enjoy the life or enjoy the rest of the day. Because even in North America, as we all know, right, there are challenges in daytime or challenges in terms of if you grow up in India, we have a light for at least 12 hours and sometimes more, like in summer and all, right? But in North America, well, we have long days as well. But the short days are more challenging in terms of you can't play outside because well, it's night. Like you have around 16 hours of night, and that's really kind of different from Indian perspective. But if you want to really plan your day in terms of your sports activity, in terms of your outing, in terms of your daily course, you need to make sure that you have ample of time or ample of days, ample of lives reserved for such activities. So I used to do like that. So in such scenario, all these incidents get triggered, and all the respective members, they normally either nowadays they monitor remotely, but in those good old days they used to come to office, and that was kind of scenario happened, I think 12 to 15 times in a year. And so yeah, there was a discussion like, do we really need this kind of security? Yes, we need it. Okay, because these are, you can say, false alarm, but these actually make sure they test your SOC systems overall. And then we'll start understanding from that SOC team, even if it's not needed, but in case if anything wrong happens, how are we going to react to it? And that's why we have these log connections or escalation mechanism or a reporting mechanism. Reporting in the sense mostly it's automated reporting nowadays, but reporting can also mean that the cybersecurity executive reporting to your top management. Boss, we need to change these things in the near future. Might be next 15 days, next 30 days, or next at the max next 45 days to make sure we have averted this risk. And these reporting and escalation also done by us to the management to procure new systems, new mechanism to make sure your premises is secured as per the latest technology and the measures. But here the reporting can be these reports generated by these softwares, by these even surveillance cameras today to make sure all such incidents, if they happen at all, even they can escalate automatically by email, phone call, or various web page updates as well. And we'll see how that happens. There are basically research and development, which is the integral part of SOC, which keep researching, which keep building artifacts to make sure our top management have been appraised of various activities we are doing, various measures we are taking to make sure our offices are secure or our all critical assets are secure. Then we do threat intelligence. Threat intelligence is basically need to understand if there's a virus, how we are going to react to such system. And believe me, many organizations, including IEEE, one of the most techiest organizations, have some threat measures in place. Like if somebody from nearby city calls the SOC center and saying, yes, there's a new virus attack going on. If you want to, put off your internet, please do it now for the next 2 hours. And believe me, these guys do that. And this is not a joke, but they actually plan these, threat intelligence, or they believe these, what I can say, information, and they got secure quite a good number of times. So they said this is a good procedures to implement. So whenever you stop your internet for a couple of, even minutes, it's really uneasy, right? Try to do that within your home. Try to stop your, or switch off your main internet connection for 10-15 minutes. Believe me, you'll get at least couple of angry shouts at you within the next few minutes. And this is how internet is necessity for us. But again, it's a kind of even a threat to our life as well, because all these digital conversions making us more get attached to this digital communication rather than the physical attachment, or rather than the physical or cultural connection we used to have earlier. Again, I'm not trying to criticize anybody here, but still, we are trying to understand how this threat intelligence is really, seeping in terms of corporate North American corporate culture. Okay, so believe me, there are such processes already implemented in good amount of companies to check out if there's a virus break, if there's a new hacker attack to a given office or a specific given entity or specific given domain like banking or auto sectors, so that I have to put my foot down and switch off all the internet across my office for at least certain period of time. How much, again, depends on the SOC in charge who will decide such scenario, or he might need to get approval from the COE, the CEO, the MDs, or the top management in one way or the other. But yes, we can go to that length as well. And there are organizations who are doing that currently. Knowledge base. Again, this is one of the most important things we do. Knowledge base in the sense we normally build incident report here. So what is an incident? Like I told you, a pet dog scratched my car from behind because he was feeling itchy on his back or something like that. And pet dog, because there was an employee bringing the dog to office because he was alone at home, and all those kind of reason in typical North America. So here, what they did, they scratched their back as they always do. Every dog does. And my car alarm starts banging, pop, 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 beep, 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 whatever you have programmed it to. And I feel threatened because somebody's trying to steal my car. Is that the scenario? No. But still, And if I feel that, I might, there might be a message on my mobile saying somebody, invaded your proximity of your car. And believe me, such type of messages, I used to own a Nissan Altima, and this type of message I get on SMS, because it has those, whatever security measures they've implemented by my previous owners. Yeah, well, I purchased that, used car, so that's another scenario there. So, these knowledge base, but this really disturbs your, normal working. But whenever this instance goes in the knowledge base, I might analyze at the end of 1 month or 6 months, how many such incidents happen. Is it like the measures are killing my efficiency? So because of I'm constantly, trying to look at mobile, trying to look at all these emails or threads, unnecessarily wasting my time, because then too much of a care can basically kill the happiness, or can basically disturb your day-to-day work. And we need to analyze such scenarios. So even cybersecurity analyze such knowledge base, or analyze such incidents happened in the past quarter, month, or 6 months, depending upon the periodic audits you have as per your SSC policies and procedures, so that I might switch off the alert. And believe me, I switched off the alerts after 3 months, because it's really disturbing me. I kept that alarm on in case somebody might have a look at it. And nowadays, if the motion sensor camera can understand a heavy sound wave also. So they are sound sensitive motion cameras as well. So in a given parking lot, if your car starts screaming, there are number of security camera who turns in your way, in your car way, and trying to report it to the SOC or the security surveillance of that building. And this happens actually in many other malls, even if you go to the smaller city also nowadays. Then there are tickets. What are the tickets? In case, and these are also kind of automated process most of the time, but there could be the manual intervention also. Let's understand the ticketing way. Ticketing in the sense here, if this escalation happens, like we discussed in log collection or reporting, if any incidents which is reported, which is exceptional, so the ticketing system will generate an automated ticket saying, okay, incidents reported at 9 p.m. Eastern time at so and so location, longitude, latitude, the place, name, address, what all they want to report, and then it will tell these type of motion sensor have detected motions at these odd times, or this type of video surveillance detected a moving figure. It can be something like a man. It can be a kid trying to collect something from his car at odd hours. This can be also scenario, and this is normally happens in apartment buildings. But still, that ticket got raised, and once the ticket got raised, every SOC member normally who is on surveillance will get an SMS or a beep or something like that, or an intimation in one way or the other to make sure or attend the ticket. So one of the executive might have a look at it and assign the ticket to herself or himself, and they'll make sure it's addressed on a priority. And that's how this ticketing is also attached to the SOC. We normally use quite a good amount of ticketing software. They can be, simply, free software like, or community softwares available on the internet, which is just you need to install and configure as per your need. Or there could be really a costly software which comes with various surveillance equipment like motion sensor camera, the sound sensor cameras, and all those things. Okay, then we'll have a look at SEIM, security. Okay, let me read the long term again, long form again. What is SEIM? About so let me go to the Google for that and trying to find out the long form of SIEM, right? SIEM. SIEM.
Security information and event management.
Yeah, security information event management. Now, what all we discuss here can be encompassed into one system called SIEM, Security Information Environment Management. Okay, I have written it down also. I don't know. Okay, pardon me for that. So, security information event management is basically a kind of total event management we implement in good number of organizations, where we need to understand how these escalations happens and basically suppress any trivial escalations or any escalations done by the machine which is not really critical to the whole scenario. Okay, so these type of team within SOC help us out to even initiate new measures in case of such events, such exceptional events to react to. Then we have aggregation and coalition. So what is aggregation and coalition? Anything which is basically um, really need to be notified uh, because of its criticalness. And there are many things which we need to ignore, like they are trivial things and they keep happening in our life. Simple as a dog scratching his back against your car and car starting the panic alarm or the proximity alarm, whatever you want to call it. So this way, it's a trivial incident. But normally, while driving peacefully, something really banged your car from behind, and that can be really critical incidents. So in such scenario, we need to understand how to respond with without any aggression or coercion, so that we can address that event with a maximum calmness, coolness, and proactively also take some preventive measures to make sure such incidents might not happen again in a near future. And we might implement new tools, techniques, or any new instrument to make sure such incidents are prevented. And we basically learn in a step-by-step way how do we normally go about aggregation and coalition in a couple of slides, where we'll understand how SOC helps out in building measures against this. That's all about SOC in a kind of generic scenario. We haven't discussed any particular tool. We might have discussed particular instruments like surveillance camera, the panic alarms, the escalation mechanism, the ticketing, reporting, and the knowledge base, which are the integral part of SOC. Does anybody have any questions on SOC? Security operations centers?
No.
They are good, right? Please have a look at recording, and we might discuss in case you feel that we have not discussed enough. Don't worry, we are just getting warmed up. Now, how the SOC reacts for a given IT company? Because IT companies are the most, I'll say, observant or the most active in terms of building these SOC centers. Because we all have our intangible assets, right? And I believe I've told you about intangible and tangible assets. Intangible, the assets we can't feel or we can't basically touch. Tangible assets we can feel, we can touch. Like the camera we can touch, but the camera software we can't. So it's an intangible asset. So even for software organizations or many organizations for that matters, because nowadays every company have their own softwares, own customized software as well, and they want to what you can say preserve it to the criticality, or those are their critical assets as well. So how do you do it? Let's try to understand from a software organization perspectives and try to make sure we basically plan it in a good way. Here, I normally give an example of a new digital bank. Let's say a cryptocurrency bank. Okay, and we'll try to understand, because I think cryptocurrency banks are one of the most secure institution as of now. Why I say bank? Because these banks, they hold assets, they hold, well, they don't hold currency, but they hold those talking number, the token numbers, the end checksums, and all those things. We'll learn about cryptocurrency if you want to be, but that's not the need. But nowadays, if you look at the cryptocurrencies institutions, they have large number of SOCs, sometimes bigger than their employee as well. And that's why cryptocurrency is really good employer for cybersecurity experts. And that's why these are kind of low hanging fruit, or sweet cakes for us. Okay, let's try to understand cybersecurity from their purview, and let's try to understand how we try to make sure these things are critical things are well protected. Let's say in a scenario, a phishing site shut down. No, am I going right? Sorry, it's right to learn basically. Let's say you turn down the SOC operations on 1st of June 2022 for a new cryptocurrency bank. Let's call it New York Cryptocurrency Exchange. I'm just giving an example. If there's a company like that, please pardon me for that. I'm not want to what you can say. This is just I'm taking from example. Let's call it. I don't think there's a cryptocurrency bank in St. Louis. Let's call it St. Louis Cryptocurrency Exchange Bank. Okay, and I'm a new cybersecurity expert. Join this team, and I'll basically switch on the SOC operations on such and such date. Okay, then I need to, guide my top managements how my department is performing or how I'm working efficiently. So I need to show them some number. I need to show them some, some proofs or some auditory facts so that they'll understand I'm working even round the clock to make sure the security is not breached. In case breach, we have reacted instantly, so there's no big incidents, and so on and so forth. For such scenario, I might collect all the artifacts regarding a particular instance to report to top management to make sure they understand my necessity for our organization. And this includes the reducing fraud loss. What is a fraud loss? Now, cryptocurrency is a kind of hidden digital currency which keep tracks of how one pays other and how much one has in terms of in comparison of others with a checksum. Checksum is basically just the tally of totals given at a digital entity. Okay, so let's not go into detail. I don't want to confuse you in any way, but let's try to understand how we could reduce the fraud loss. So if we have a leakages of missing a cryptocurrency within let's say 60 transaction, now I have reduced it to 20 transaction or 30 transaction depending on the actual scenario. So like that, I have to collect these numbers, collect this artifact and monitor such losses and report it to the top management whenever I need to justify my SOC operation for a given organization. Then I'll talk about the security. Oh man, pardon me for this thing. Security information event management system. I'll share the plans with them. How do I implemented this security information event management procedures and policies within our organizations? How I'm managing the risk management system. I might share the list with them. I might share the new threats which we have detected. Might be in the last week, last month, depending upon the review pattern, depending upon the review periodicity in your organization. And this way, what you're trying to make sure the need of SOC and addresser to their concern in terms of security breaches or threats. Then I might provide up-to-date threat intelligence in terms of what was the threat detected, even incidents like a dog banging on a car, triggering the alarm, and the security team reacting to that. So something like these incidents also get notified with the relevant artifact and reported to the top management. Now, these are very important and crucial for SOC existence and SOC, in case if you need extra hands, extra resources, this is the way we go to our resource management team to ask for more SOC resource. So this is also part and parcel of right. Then how does 24/7 expert security watch is happening in your organizations? What basically helping you out to build the SOC or to trust this SOC center to track all such security risk and threats proactively. Again, there could be some extra scenarios like phishing attacks or some ethical hackers or unethical hacker trying to hack your system, trying to make an entry via HTTP or via such cloud services. We have to record them and we need to report this thing within our SOC audits, SOC reviews, or SIEM reviews as well. So here, these are the key pointers where we normally collect the data regularly. We collect the artifacts. I believe you know what is artifact. Artifact is a document. It can be image, file, or a log file, which normally present as an proof to whatever event have been happened or event is notified via such logs. And this way, these artifacts can be held as an evidence, can be included in our forensic analysis as a substantial evidence. And that's why we keep collecting artifacts. I'm not saying every time we need to be really, cynical or pessimistic, but we need to understand the domain we are working on. The domain basically rewrites our thought process to understand the threats and leakages. And for that, I need to be a bit pessimistic to make sure if there are to find out if there are any leaks or any new threats or any new challenges in my upcoming days, in my upcoming hours, to be reported on my threat intelligence or SIEM. And this way I normally keep building my artifacts left and right on a daily basis. This is a typical cybersecurity analyst do. Okay, so we're just trying to understand a job role and how this SOC implementation react in a given scenario. Do you have any questions for me at this moment? No problem. Let me go ahead. Now, how does SOC structure? This is important from a perspective of if it's a local or remote, depends on the SOC leaders, how they want to plan their SOC. There are a good number of companies who are working remotely in terms of the executive analyst or auditor level, but there are companies who believes SOC experts needs to be inside the company offices, or they need to be inside the organization premises to make sure the security is to make sure the security concerns are addressed at highest priority within least amount of time proactively. So let's try to understand. There's a chief security officer, normally on a global level or a national level, depending upon your organizational spread. Then there are regional levels like regional security officer or head SOC. Then we have a state or city level offices like site lead, SOC manager, or center leads center leads for a given center. So if you have two centers in a city, you might have different center leads who are leading those centers. And at a facility level, we have a security force, we have a security operations, and we have security analyst and operator as well. The yellow or the orange ones are basically more of sitting jobs. The blue are basically more of a touring or on-site job. They keep visiting, they keep doing the surveillance left and right. So that's why there is a bit of different color. But either way, there's no clear breakage line here. You might work as a security analyst or security operations analyst or security auditor, and you might need to visit certain facilities or go there personally to understand if they are following all the measures as per the policies and procedures. And like this, we have the structure, and then this is how we are also get progressed. And believe me, the salaries of these individuals are really great. You might start at something like at the least at 80K or something. You might get up to 150K plus. And I believe the best resources got hired from Guru School was at 175K per year, plus those benefits and everything. Okay, and that way we can, and yes, she was a lady. She was a teacher who joined our course, and she got placed in 2.5 months. And believe me, this is what we are trying to do. This is what we are trying to achieve, right? So for that, we need to try our best. Of course, we need to perform in our interview, and that's how they basically start negotiating the salaries and all. So the best way you can explain these things, believe me, these words matter. The way you explain things to them, they try to assess your caliber on the basis of your description, on the basis of your explanation you are giving about SOC, because you are part and parcel of SOC, right? And that's why these things are important from an interview perspective. And that's why I kept this thing. You might feel this is more of a philosophical nature, but believe me, unless and until you know these scenarios, you know these why, and what we are doing, it's difficult to understand why we should have those softwares tools in place for a given entity. Okay, now let me take you to the actual practical, more of practical scenario, and let's try to understand the SOC skills in depth. Capable of working independently and involving senior analysts as necessary. This is a basis escalation mechanism we create within our SOC team, where I work. In case if I feel this is really a different incidents from previous, I might inform to my next level, the reporting officer or a senior, so that he or she can escalate further, or he or she can guide me if it's the right to escalate, or let's wait for some time, or let's not escalate this, because this keeps happening in our premises. Like for example, a dog scratching your car. And yes, these are frequent events at quite a few offices. So they are learned to ignore them as well. But does that leads to a risk? Yes, it leads to a risk. Like instead of a dog, somebody might do some what you can say proximity. Some might do some damage to your car, and this might happen. But for that, we have all these motion sensor and sound sensor cameras. Communicate the severity of the threats and recommendation for a remediations to the customer and other cybersecurity personnel through written and mobile media. Now, this basically includes quite a good number of statements here in the single statement. Communicate the severity of the threat. This is like, as a security analyst or as a security observer, I need to communicate the severity of the incidents. In terms of, even a dog scratches his back on a car, I might put it as the lowest security as 10. If we are normally labeling from 1 to 10, and 10 is the least challenging security, 1 is the most challenging security, right? And this way, we normally have to prioritize or assign the severity, not prioritize, pardon me, not a good word, assign the actual severity to a given security breach or a threat, and then recommend a remediation, recommend the reactive actions by a specific department, by a specific entity, for a customer or for our officers. And then in case we might need to do a teamwork against this, as all mentioned in your policies and procedures, we might need to inform our colleagues or the team to initiate the necessity actions, like please go and check, please go and try to switch off those alarm auditing and alarm screaming and all those things, and so on and so forth. On top of that, I need to report this thing in a written and verbal media. How do you report it? You normally create an incident ticket and try to understand what type of area this ticket is addressed to, and then log that ticket, even forward this ticket to a couple of your seniors or the people who are basically in charge of escalation or a hierarchy, and even convey them with a call, or go and meet them in case if you're in office, to make sure they attend to this severity in the most critical way, in the most attentive way. And if they decide to ignore it, well and good, no problem. And if you have created a ticket, it's not like I'm trying to tell you how to get rid of your responsibility, but mostly there's a responsibility, or there's a things which we can do for a given given event. And this is what the overall understanding of how we communicate the severity, how we recommend the actions, how we collect the team or inform the team in a particular scenario, and then create the necessary artifact, whatever needed as per the policies and procedures. Follow a detail level process and procedures to analyze, escalate, assist in the remediation of critical information and security incidents. And this way, we normally try to even educate others if they have ignored such threats or such new incident reports coming our way, mostly automatic. Then again, configuring and monitoring the SIEM is also one of the most continuous improvement type of thought processes, where I keep including this intelligence collecting from such travel incident and try to make my SIEM more effective. Integrate and work with firms managed security service provider, MSSP services. And you might work for MSSP services also. So MSSP services are one of the most prominent, this is not an organization, this is a type of service providers. If you go to the North American service providers database, they literally call the SOC operations centers as a managed security service provider. Within the organizations, external to the organizational entity, depending upon the registration of your organizations. But yes, these are normally labeled by the state or federal agency as a managed security service providers. So if you go to a governmental interview or a state or a federal, you might have to remember the SOC as MSSP, and whatever you learn in SOC can be replicated for MSSP as well. Okay, let me play a good video of inside cybersecurity link security operations center to understand how a fully developed operation center responds to incidents, and let's find it in a good positive spirit. Okay, so let me go to the downloads, and yes, if you have any questions, please do ask. Don't stop yourself from asking questions. These are really good videos and we are learning new things day by day, right? So let's try to find out. If you can see a lady, okay, have I shared this video? No, sorry. Let me share that, I don't know. Okay, could you see a lady with a tablet and a searchlight?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, this is an actual video, rather a kind of, I don't know if it's staged or not, but it's filmed really well. And they are showing one of the SOC center, one of the advanced SOC center. This was a video for around, I think, 6 to 7 months old. So this is fairly latest. So these tools are available to us, as an SOC executive. I'm trying to glorify, yes, I'm trying to glorify this job because we need to understand, right, what type of tools and techniques we do in terms of, we do have to learn where we need to aim in terms of our job market as well. Okay, so let me even stop the recording in one way or the other so that, yes.